So recently, I did an intro video discussing misogyny. I made the point that America was built on patriarchy, which produces misogyny, and that the three major religions in the West are primary drivers of that misogyny. We focused on the Christian Bible because that's what I'm most familiar with, but some of y'all produced examples from Islam and Judaism too. I also used my own journey to help connect with men by identifying some of the ways I've been misogynistic, even within the last year. It was mostly love in the comments, but some black men were not trying to hear that noise. Some comments were brief and angry. More than one person directly called me homosexual, while one person left a supportive novel. Welcome to my job. To those who didn't like it, I'm glad y'all spoke up, because now I got a lot of comments to go through and debunk one by one. This is my favorite thing to do. I'm a fact checker at heart. Let's explore all the negativity, the myth of the man-hating feminists, and the misconceptions around feminism itself. In the intro of that prior video, I said this. For anybody who's tempted to dismiss this as the rant of a male feminist, you're right. You know what's on my side though? The facts. And it didn't go over well with a couple of y'all. Let's take a deeper look into the reasons why. These first two comments match, essentially saying that I lost y'all by claiming I'm a feminist. You must be new here. That isn't some new revelation, but let's roll with it. We got to define feminism based on what it actually means, not how y'all warp the word to fit your narrative. Britannica defines it as follows: the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. The challenge I posit to every single person who pushes back on men being feminists is this: pick a part of that definition to disagree with and defend your position. Is it the social, economic, or political equality that rubs you the wrong way? You can't attack this definition without being sexist. And that's my entire point. In order to actually score points in a debate, you need to come up with your own definition, like this bot did. I'm not calling them a bot as a joke. This is literally a bot. I'm only engaging with this bullshit because the point is similar to what some other people said later. Taking the edge off said, quote, male feminists are just the patriarchy hiding behind soft words, end quote. That would imply that it's brave to stand your ground and back the patriarchy proudly, right? But that's the majority position in America and always has been. So who's really taking a risk? You did this to yourself. Let's take a look at your profile. Oh no. Typical white alpha male cartoon avatar, which means this is probably a foreign incel. The same video twice with different font on the thumbnails. Let's watch a little bit of this bot video.
The subtle genius of this propaganda lay in its ability to make women believe that the art of homemaking was a place of stifling oppression, positioning the workplace as their real stage for liberation. This was a calculated move by capitalist forces that saw an opportunity to harness women's labor in the workforce to further fuel economic growth.
AI voiceover throughout, and the central message is that feminism is actually co-opted by corporations that want more workers to exploit. So therefore, quote unquote, modern feminism isn't as pure as the definition I gave y'all earlier. The claim hinges on the belief that feminists just want to be the patriarchy, and they've been tricked by corporations to fight for equal rights. Thinking women are being tricked into feminism by some kind of false flag operation is actually more sexist. Congratulations. I get the suspicion that corporations are trying to co-opt a movement. I understand that. They try to co-opt every movement. That's what capitalism does. There just isn't any evidence that those attempts are responsible for what you call modern feminism. The Supreme Court, responsible for removing their right to control their own reproductive systems, is mostly male and mostly conservative, which means almost all of them uphold the patriarchy at every opportunity. You know what would never happen? A court telling me what to do with my dick. Oh, but you think you own that baby inside a woman because you helped with half the DNA before her 9-month gestational nightmare? And instead of talking these differences out with your partner, you want to create a legal environment where 9 states can ban abortions with no exception for incest or rape. Interesting. This dude said women are up on all fronts in 2026. White men make up about 35% of the US population, while black women make up about 7.4% of the US population. Here's the percentage of VP roles and C-suite positions each of them fill. Looking hella lopsided, right? Yeah, I thought so too. And since I know you're going to ask, this is a distribution between black men and black women, specifically in the C-suite. Each block represents one unit of representation or one percentage point. We got one more. I'm pointing this out because one of y'all said black men are going through more than black women right now. Economically, that's highly unlikely. We're promoted more often, disciplined less harshly, and operate under fewer societal restrictions since we live in a patriarchy that's also becoming more fascistic by the day. As another approach, you could turn the word feminist into a slur that refers to this imaginary wave of man haters, when in reality, you're hyper-focused on a few examples of women who legitimately hate men. The internet is a big place. I'm not denying that these women exist. I want to break this one down line by line. Quote, why is it only black men are held to a higher standard? This is called whataboutism, and it's completely untrue. I made one YouTube video, and you use that to ignore the fact that there's hundreds of white women on YouTube who center their entire channels around tearing down the patriarchy? Next line. Make a video regarding black women disrespecting the black man and women having modesty. First off, I don't work for you, bruh. Make it yourself. I can't tell you how many times men, because it's almost always men, which is making my point for me, come to my channel full of my videos that I spent days, sometimes weeks, creating, and then give me orders. Shut up, bitch! Black women disrespecting the black man is the next line. Look, there's literally thousands of videos about that on YouTube. You're only asking me to do it because people actually watch my videos. Let's go back to women having modesty. Again, you're making my point for me. Have you ever in your life heard anyone tell a man to be more modest? Specifically in the way you're referring to here. No, you haven't. Just a half a second of introspection before y'all hit the keyboard, bruh, please. Next line, black men get beat up and picked on by everybody these days, including by black men. Is that what I was doing? I presented my own problems with misogyny as an effort to connect with your dumbass, and you twist that into me bashing black men? Presenting critique is not the same as picking on someone. For a group of people claiming to define masculinity by going your own way and being immune to emotion, y'all are really thin-skinned. Last line, stop the pandering, bro. We all have things to work on as people, but stop signaling out only black men. Actually, I was talking to all men. You made it racial. Claiming I'm pandering is an effort to discredit my analysis. If I'm just making this video to appeal to black women and only black women, then it's easier for you to deal with the uncomfortable truths I rolled out. Things that appeal to black women can't possibly be valid, right? It's also easier to ignore the story I shared about my own struggles with misogyny in my recent relationships. What part of that vulnerability serves me? I could have kept it to myself and acted like I already got it figured out and preached to y'all from a pedestal. That was for your dumb ass. Moving on. A core issue with the implication that misandry, or the hatred of men, is as significant of an issue as misogyny is your ignorance of the power imbalance. I've already covered this with the Supreme Court example earlier, but the best way I can put this metaphorically is to compare it to the black-white racial discrimination gap. Claiming those are the same in both directions is a wild take that would make sense if you knew absolutely jack shit about history or society at large. Black people could not make a Jim Crow happen if we wanted to. We don't have the numbers or the institutional power to pull that off. White people are actively trying to take us back to Jim Crow right now, as I broke down in my Project 2025 series. Do you see what I mean? Y'all just don't like being the problematic side of the equation. I didn't like it either, and I made that video to be honest about my journey, not to pander. It's crazy how every time a man deconstructs negative aspects of masculinity, or the way masculinity is shaped in this society, we're accused of trying to appeal to women. It's particularly ironic because everything y'all lames do is about attracting women, despite your internal hatred of everything they represent. But back to that prior comment, some black women call us the white people of black people. And comments like this make it evident that they're right. This is some Karen shit.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people.
Did I just spend all this time replying to comments? Yes. Did it feel good to get that out? Yes, it did. Every now and then, I gotta set the record straight. Using your comments to get precise about my arguments is an excellent method in my eyes. This is a lesson to people dropping bullshit on my videos. You might get got. In conclusion, let's talk about the myth of misandry. It's the real issue bubbling below the surface of a lot of these criticisms, and it deserves its own breakdown. I read articles on this and did research into why it's a thing, why the philosophy doesn't really stand up, all that. I'm gonna restrict that to facts because y'all love to parrot sayings like facts over feelings and facts don't care about your feelings. This is an academic study, not an opinion blog. I got it linked in the description so you can see it for yourselves. It's pretty compelling. In 6 studies, they quote, examine the accuracy and underpinnings of the damaging stereotype that feminists harbor negative attitudes towards men. In study 1, with 1,664 people, feminists and non-feminist women displayed similarly positive attitudes towards men. Study 2 replicated those results among almost 3,900 male participants. The only study here that comes close to anything near what all these commenters were implying is the conclusion they drew from studies 4 and 5, where feminists were shown to see men as more threatening, but also more similar to women. I don't know if it's news to y'all, but men are more threatening. We've been collectively murdering men and women on a daily basis for centuries now. This article from the Women's Aid Organization, again, rigorously sourced, says, quote, whilst both men and women may experience incidents of interpersonal violence and abuse, there are important differences between male violence against women and female violence against men, namely the amount, severity, and impact. I'm sure even some of the men who commented on that last video would agree with that. But here's the really crucial part. Quote, women are more likely to experience higher levels of fear and are more likely to be subjected to coercive and controlling behaviors. Men do not experience domestic abuse as part of embedded structural inequalities against their sex. For women, however, domestic abuse is deeply rooted in inequalities between women and men, end quote. That's the whole point I've been stressing. Not only are we more violent and more deadly, we aren't dealing with a system designed to suppress our rights or the level of coercion we exert on women. That's the whole thing. That's what you need to take away from this video. I can guarantee that some of y'all wouldn't even have left a comment if it wasn't a man talking to you in the first place. You don't even respect women enough to listen to their complaints and leave hate on their videos in the first place. So you came to me instead. You know why, right? You think I'm cool. And people listen to me. Therefore, I struck a nerve. Calling me gay has happened before, and I've noticed a pattern. It happens every time I challenge something black men believe or something they enjoy. They see homosexuality as the worst possible thing someone can be. And calling me that when you know it isn't true says so much more about you than it could ever say about me. My skin isn't clear enough to be a gay man. Don't insult them like that. I got a new skin routine recently. I'm trying to get on their level one day. I'm going to close this out by recommending some black feminist authors and activists you should read or listen to. I'll give you specific titles, but just start by Googling them and go from there. It's an amazing rabbit hole that will absolutely wake your ass up. We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For by Alice Walker. Women, Race, and Class and Women, Culture, and Politics, 2 separate books by Angela Davis. Need, A Corral for Black Woman Voices by Audre Lorde. Anything Toni Morrison has ever written. Anything by Bell Hooks, but especially Ain't I a Woman? Beverly Guy Sheftall, who founded the Spelman College Women's Research and Resource Center, edits the Sage Academic Journal, and led the criticism of Nellie's tip drill video. That's probably the only one that caught y'all's attention. Degenerates. That's enough for the next year of your life, honestly, but there's so many more. Here's a starter article that lists the ones I just named. This goes beyond black women, of course, but they're always going to be my priority. I've been pretty open about that. That's all I got until I revisit the red pill next month. We'll be talking about specific manosphere creators, including women in the manosphere, because it did not die. Catch y'all in the next one. It's a huge interview. Power to the people.